Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for the latest and breaking Washington Commanders news. My name is Grant and we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to read you some reporting on certain matters, give you my opinion on it, and then most importantly, ask for your opinion. The whole reason I started this channel is because I want to engage in conversations with all of you. I know what I think, but I don't know what you think, and I want to have this community where we get to discuss and go through this journey together. Because as Commanders fans, we have all been on some hard times. 20, 30 years in the darkness, and finally, the light seems to be back. Jayden Daniels, Dan Quinn, Josh Harris, Adam Peters, they have shown us, they've reminded us what it's like to be a team that is on top and to be an attractive franchise for players and coaches and rookies. And as we go through this, we're going to do it together. Now, before I jump into today's topics, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Those of you who already have, your absolute legends. And also hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be posting daily content, reporting news as to what's going on with the Commanders, what are people saying. Tomorrow, I've already got my topic lined up. We're going to look at some very early mock drafts and see who people are thinking the Commanders are going to take. So that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. And without further ado, let's jump into the topics today. So we've got a couple lined up here. Number one is going to be coming from an ESPN analyst, Bill Barnwell, who says that the Commanders this season might be the Texans of last season. Now that's based off the fact that they were there were franchises that had stumbled onto hard times, had been there for a while, somewhat irrelevant. They find this not diamond in the rough, but just transformational quarterback, this rookie who comes out of nowhere and performs at a level that we've never seen before, leads the team to all the success. Granted, Jayden and the Commanders had more of it. They won 12 games while the Texans won 10, and they made it to the conference championship while the Texans only made it out of the first round. But then you fast forward a year, CJ Stroud really struggles. The Texans win 10 games again. They win the AFC South again, but that's an easy division. And then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. So here's what Bill Barnwell had to say. Direct quote here. The 2023 Texans broke through quickly after landing a star quarterback in the draft, but they surrounded that passer with one of the league's oldest rosters. In 2024, while the Texans won their division and a playoff game, they battled through a frustrating season and didn't take the step forward many were hoping. The Commanders should still be good, but this might be more of a consolidation year than one in which they challenge for a Super Bowl, in part because their roster doesn't have many key contributors who project to get better at this point in their careers. Now, I think that is a very interesting angle to take on it, because I don't think there's a single person out there who would argue that the Commanders' floor has risen on last year. At least in theory, it should have. Last year, it was possible they would have won maybe 4 or 5 games. That's what a lot of people were saying at the very start of the year. Now I think the minimum expectation, if you talk to the biggest pessimist you know, probably 7 or 8 games. I haven't even heard anybody say 7. I think 8 is the lowest that I've heard. So the floor has been risen. But that piece, that nugget about players not getting better at this stage in their career, well, let's go up and down the roster and let's talk about it. I think offensively, it's a fair take. On the one hand, Josh Connerly Jr. is a rookie. Brandon Coleman's a second-year player. Those guys stand out, but they're almost in their own separate bucket. As far as actually established guys on the roster, they make the trade for Laramie Tunsil, who's on the other side of 30. Sam Cosmi coming back off a torn ACL. Tyler Biadasz, we kind of know what he is. Brian Robinson, a lot of people want to get rid of him. Terry McLaurin had the best year of his career last year. I love Terry. I think he'll have another good year. I would be shocked if it was better than last year. He's going to be 30 this season. That's typically when receivers start to go down. Deebo Samuel's starting to decline. So I can understand it from that perspective. On the other side of the football, defensive line isn't amazing. Bobby Wagner is older. Frankie Louvu, can he improve on what he did last year? Would be tough. Could he give you that same level? Sure. Marshawn Lattimore, probably on the decline. Really, if you're looking for these players who have potential moving forward, it's all your first and second year guys. And last year they had a bunch of picks. So, we could run through the Jazon Newtons, the Ben Sinnott, the Mikey Sainer stills. We can run through all of those guys and sure they have potential, but for a lot of them, we still need to see it. I mean, which rookie last year really establish themselves in the starting lineup. Jayden Daniels, obviously. Mike Sainristil, obviously. Aside from that, nobody really established himself. Newton is going to get snaps, and we know that, but he didn't jump off the page the way that Sainristil and Daniels did. And then this year, Josh Connolly Jr. is probably going to get his opportunities. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if Trey Amos gets the most opportunities. Even if Connolly starts all 17 games, I think Amos, just because it's a more individualized position, with Connolly being on the offensive line, it's a little easier to say the offensive line played well or the offensive line played poorly. If you're Trey Amos and you're a corner out on your own and you're getting burned, that's going to stand out. Or if you're getting interceptions, that's going to stand out. From there, you've got Jalen Lane, Kane Madrano, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. So there are certainly guys who do have that opportunity, but I think the angle Barnwell is coming from is the truly established guys. They're all mostly getting older or at a point in their career where they're in their prime and probably not getting better, if anything, declining. So I think the Commanders, if we're comparing them to the Texans, I think they've done a better job insulating Jayden Daniels. Last year, the Texans, it's unfortunate what happened to them. They were just ravaged by injuries. You know, Steph Diggs goes down, Nico Collins goes down, Tank Dell goes down. The offensive line is a mess. They're committing penalties. There's injuries. Stroud wasn't protected. He didn't have anybody to throw the ball to. Joe Mixon had good counting numbers, but was he a great player? No. The defense really lifted that team. The offense just didn't have much to work with. Again, I think that the Commanders have done a better job surrounding Jayden Daniels with players to raise the floor around him. But I do take note of the bottom line, which is if you look at a team like the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl last year with overall a very young roster. The Commanders don't have that. So that's why when people ask me, what is the Commanders Super Bowl window? I say it hasn't started officially. I guess technically if you have that top rookie quarterback, as long as he's on that rookie contract, it should be open. But I do agree that there needs to be another influx of young guys. And it could happen the next offseason. But ultimately, we'll see how things go. Speaking of one young guy, one person who I didn't mention there, his name is Luke McCaffrey. And if Clutch Points' Douglas Fritz has anything to say about it, he might be the odd man out. Take a listen to this. For all of the good things that were written and said about Luke McCaffrey, a third-round draft pick, it never showed up on the field. Jayden Daniels turned average receivers into playmakers with his performances, but not McCaffrey. McCaffrey is already out of excuses despite being in just his second NFL season. Sometimes players can take a leap from year 1 to year 2, but most of the buzz from the Commanders revolves around the new receivers. That's a bad sign. Luke McCaffrey in 2024 had 18 receptions for 168 yards, no touchdowns. He was pretty solid at kick returning. Him and Austin Eckler did a good job, although to the point of what's being said here, I think Jalen Lane is probably the lead guy, the lead candidate to take over those responsibilities. Now, it's not abnormal in any way for rookies or for coaches to realize that rookies maybe aren't ready for 17 games in 18 weeks of an NFL season. What is worrying to me is kind of what was said here, which was when you get these young guys, you think that they're going to develop over time. You'll give them more opportunities as the future comes. The Commanders added new receivers in the offseason. I mean, let's think about the depth chart here. You've got Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, Deebo Samuel's a new addition, Jalen Lane is a new addition. That's already 5 guys, all of which theoretically you would put ahead of Luke McCaffrey in the pecking order. It's not very often that your wide receiver 6 gets a bunch of looks. And if I look back at Luke McCaffrey's snap count last year, it kind of confirms to me that the Commanders coaching staff was not thrilled with what they saw. So as the season went on, his snaps consistently decreased. He averaged 32 snaps per game during the first month of the season, 16 snaps per game during the final month of this regular season, and 9 snaps per game across 3 playoff games. Now, you don't draft someone in the 3rd round without thinking that they have a future with your team. I don't doubt that. But I do wonder, as much as I've been impressed by Adam Peters, I do wonder if this was a homer pick. He apparently had talked to Christian McCaffrey that night. We know the relationship he had with Christian McCaffrey and another McCaffrey, and Ed McCaffrey's the dad, and he was a standout wide receiver in the NFL for a long time. Luke was a quarterback who converted to receiver and played at Rice did not have great stats there. I think a lot of this was banking on the talent of the family, some of the family name production-wise, and also his raw athletic ability, because he is 6'2", 190 pounds. He does have the frame to be a good player, but 18 receptions for 168 yards last year, and the declining snap count says he wasn't ready last year, and all the receivers ahead of him, the logjam this year, tells me that he's probably not going to get very many opportunities this year. So at this point, I think we are already looking at Luke McCaffrey as a year 3 guy. And at that point, Terry's going to get re-signed. We assume that. Debo, if this year goes well, Debo will be back next year as well. Jalen Lane will obviously still be there. And then you have conversations about not De'Ami Brown, but Noah Brown. I almost said De'Ami Brown, who apparently is turning heads with the Jags. So good job, De'Ami. And then Michael Gallup. So if we're already looking ahead to next year, it seems like his best case is wide receiver 4. And I mentioned tomorrow we're going to talk about some mock drafts. One of the ones I was reading has the Commanders taking a receiver in the first round next year. So that could be wide receiver 5 for Luke McCaffrey next year. And it just seems like there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for him to impress. Now, I'm sure he'll get them in camp, and I'm sure he'll get them in the preseason, but I do think it's fair to say he's behind the 8 ball right now. And it's harsh because it's only his second year, but the truth is the truth, and this is what we're hearing. So we'll monitor that situation. Another great Washington wide receiver. It was Santana Moss's birthday yesterday. Just want to throw that out there. Happy birthday to Santana Moss. The Commanders put out a nice post on their Twitter. Haven't checked their Facebook, but I'm sure it's on there as well. So big 89 playmaker. One of my favorite players I used to watch. So happy birthday, Santana Moss. We're going to close this video out talking about a wide receiver, and it's actually not a Commanders player. It is a former teammate of Jayden Daniels, and it's Malik Nabers, who we all know, and I'll tell you why we're talking about him in just a moment here. But this is a quote from Russell Wilson, who was talking about what it's been like adapting to the New York Giants. Russ said he is embracing the challenge, embracing the media scrutiny, all that stuff. But he was asked directly about Malik Nabers, and here's what Russell Wilson had to say. Dude's a superstar. I was watching the film, trying to make decisions, trying to get a clear understanding of who the players are, this and that. Obviously, you see the highlights and everything else, but when you watch every single catch and every single rep and every play, you get to see the kind of player he is. He's dynamic, he touches the football, and he's gone. Now, I'm bringing this up because everybody out there should know that Malik Nabers is great. I know that the Giants are an in-division and NFC East rival. I know the bitter rivalry that exists. We have to give credit where credit is due. Especially, it makes it easier to give the credit because the Giants are just so bad. You know, if it was like giving credit to the Eagles right now or some of these other teams, it would at least hurt a little bit more. It doesn't hurt to give credit to a terrible team for one player. But Nabers is awesome. If you're asking me for my personal rankings, I think Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are the clear top 2. A.J. Brown is the clear number 3. I'm putting Malik Nabers number 4. CeeDee Lamb, Brian Thomas Jr., Amon-Ra, Terry if you want to. There are other guys who are in that conversation. Nabers is my number 4, and I honestly don't think it's that close. This dude just has incredible potential, and he was only 21 last year, so he can still get a lot better, and I think that's the scariest part. Also, he should be better with Russ or Drew Lock, whoever, Jameis Winston. All those guys are better than Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock. So I think video game numbers are coming for Nabers this season. But I bring this up because every Washington Commanders fan out there should be a fan of Malik Nabers, because Malik Nabers is a Jayden Daniels fan, and that goes back to their time together at LSU. Nabers put up ridiculous numbers. I did not look this up. I'm just trying to remember. I think it was like 1,600 yards, double-digit touchdowns. It's one search away. As a matter of fact, why don't I do it? Why don't I stop being lazy? Malik Nabers, go back to his time at LSU, and in his final season, I was right. 89 receptions, 1,569 yards, 14 touchdowns. Last year as a rookie with terrible quarterback play, and he missed some games too. Yeah, he missed 2 games. He was 5th in receptions, 7th in yards, had 109 catches for 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. Every Commanders fan out there should be a fan of Malik Nabers, because I truly believe that there's a chance that Nabers plays his football in a Commander's uniform one day. Now, I know it's lazy journalism. I know it's easy and cheap to make these comparisons. These guys were friends in college. They were teammates. They're going to play together someday in the pros. The friendship and the way that, let me back up here. The way that Jayden and Nabers display their friendship publicly for everyone to see, I think that's what's different. They've talked about starting a podcast together. For all I know, they have started it. Nabers, this is a direct quote, said, "Jayden Daniels, that's my brother for life." When they were at the Rookie of the Year ceremony, they were dapping each other up. They were hanging out with Brian Thomas Jr. during the offseason. These guys are extremely close. And if the Giants, if Drew Lock is not the answer, or not Drew Lock, what is Jackson Dart? Sorry. If Jackson Dart is not the answer, and I don't think he will be, to be completely honest with you, and we're 4 years into Malik Nabers' career, and the Giants say, hey, we're coming to you, we want to extend your contract. Well, if I can get that same money with my best buddy in Washington, and they're perennially winning 10, 11, 12 plus games, I think there's a legitimate chance that he could make the move on down there. Now, it's still some years away, but I'm just saying, this dude is incredible, and I think it's on the board that he wants to play for Washington one day if the Giants continue to struggle. So just wanted to put that out there. Russ, very high on him. I'm very high on him. And I would be extremely high on seeing him in a Commander's uniform. I mean, can you imagine that would be a 28-year-old Jayden Daniels with a 25, 26-year-old Malik Nabers? Sounds pretty good to me. But you know what else sounds good to me? You guys hitting the subscribe button so that you do not miss out on the content that I have coming to this channel. And what sounds even better is you liking this video, please. It helps me get in the algorithms. I'm trying to get the news out there to the Commanders fans. And like I said, super fun video coming tomorrow. We're going to talk about potential draft targets in the 2026 draft, see what some of the experts are saying. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. I will catch you all in the next one. Have a great day.